Good evening, everyone. We'll begin our council meeting in just a couple of minutes. Councilmember Page is on her way back up to the council chambers, so we'll get started here in just 1 second, and I appreciate your patience this evening. All right, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council. Today is Monday, May the 13th, 2024. I'd like to welcome all of you who are joining us in the audience this evening, as well as those who are joining us online. Ms. Evans, at this time, I'll ask for a roll call.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Ms. Page. Here. Ms. Hart. Here. Ms. Matlock.
Here.
Mr. Mitter.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here this evening with heavy hearts as we've had the passing of one of our council members, Ward 3 Council Member Betty Williams. And so we certainly want to thank Betty for her service. We'll have some remarks to make further along in our meeting this evening. Betty was scheduled to provide our invocation this evening, and the Williams family is here in the audience, and they have graciously accepted the invitation to be here this evening. We certainly thank them for their attendance, and I would like to call on Ms. Williams' daughter, Andrea Williams McCoy, to come forth, and she will be providing our invocation, and she will also lead us in the pledge this evening. So if everyone will please stand.
Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to come together this evening. We come together with hearts full of gratitude for the opportunity to come together and do the important work of the city on behalf of the citizens of Texarkana, and for the opportunity to take a moment and honor and remember my mother, Betty Williams. We ask you to be with us and to carry on her good works in her kindness. We ask for your strength and your peace and your guidance. And I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Will you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate that great invocation, and thank you for leading us in the pledge this evening. At this time, we're going to have a proclamation presentation, and this is in reference to the month of May being Mental Health Awareness Month. We do have in the audience this evening Stacy Tidwell and Linda Hooks, who represent AmeriCorps, and they're going to come forward, and then I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I will present it to them down front. But first of all, ladies, welcome, and do you have anything you would like to share with us before I read the proclamation?
I just want to say thank you. Appreciate everything that the city does in collaboration with Community Health Corps, and appreciate everybody allowing us to be here.
Well, good. All right, Ms. Hook, anything you'd like to say? Okay. All right, well, very good. So the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, you got that right, and whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation, and prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions. And whereas with early and effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas Community Health Corps is a local mental health authority assisting residents in 9 East Texas counties. And whereas Community Health Corps provides a 24 hours, 7 days a week crisis hotline, outpatient mental health services, skills training, and support services for children and adults. And whereas Community Health Corps served 2004 Texarkana, Texas residents in fiscal year 2023. Now, therefore, I, Bob Brugman, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Texas, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Mental Health Awareness Month. In the City of Texarkana, Texas, I also call upon the citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illness. Signed this 13th day of May 2024. I have signed the proclamation. It's been attested by Jennifer Evans, our city secretary, and the city seal has been affixed to the proclamation. So ladies, if you'll please join me down front, I'll present the proclamation to you and we'll have a photo op. Appreciate all you did. Okay. All right, you're welcome. At this time, we'll move along to Mayor's remarks and items of community interest. And we do have several events that are coming up in the community in the near future, and I will go over those shortly. I do, however, want to spend some time this evening to reflect on the service and the life of Betty Williams, one of our council members, and I just want to share some information about Betty. Betty was a longtime educator in the region, not only in Texarkana but elsewhere. She began her service with the Texarkana, Texas City Council in January of 2017. She received both bachelor's degrees and bachelor degree and master's degree, what was formerly known as East Texas State University Commerce. It's now referred to as Texas A&M University Commerce. And she had a very, very long and successful professional career. She worked for various school districts throughout her career, including the Athens Independent School District from 1966 to 1967, the Virginia Beach, Virginia School District, 1968 to 1969, the Dallas Independent School District from 1969 to 1978, the Garland Independent School District from 1978 to 1980, and the Texarkana Independent School District from 1980 until the year 2000. Ms. Williams was extremely involved in our community with civic involvement. She was the past chairperson, board member, and tutor with the Bowie and Miller County Literacy Council from 1989 to 2021. She was an election judge for Bowie County, Texas elections from 2000 to 2019. She served on the city's Building and Standards Commission from 2014 to 2016. She was the District 1 Grievance Committee member for the State Bar of Texas from 2010 to 2014, Texas Legislative Committee member for Delta Kappa Gamma 2003 to 2005, District 8 Director and local treasurer and member of the Texas Classroom Teachers Association, also known as TCTA, chapter regent of the Lone Star DAR, Daughters of American Revolution, 2005 to 2007. She was taught in Texas public schools for 32 of her 33 years, teaching years, She was also selected as the Retired Teacher of the Year for the state of Texas through TCTA. That award was bestowed upon her in the year 2003, and she also volunteered at the Highland Park Elementary School from 2000 to 2019. Betty and her husband Doug moved to Texarkana in 1980. They have reared 2 children who graduated from Texas High School, and they are the proud grandparents of 3 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. One thing I would like to share about Betty is, as far as some personal comments, is she loved downtown Texarkana. You could find her on a regular basis picking up trash. She would also tend to the flower planters along Broad Street and down by the Amtrak train depot, and just had a love and passion for downtown. Before a council meeting would begin, or perhaps after shortly adjournment of a council meeting, she would sit there and she'd say, "I've got to tell you about my grandson, what my grandson's doing." And so it was always such a beam of in her face when she talked about that. She also would light up when the school children in the community would come here to our council meetings for various types of presentations that they were involved with. She listened intently to what they had to say, and she really appreciated their being here along with their teachers who came here with her. One thing I'd also say about Betty is that she took pride in everything she did in life. You could drive by her home on Olive Street, and it was meticulously manicured, hanging baskets on the front porch, and she just really took pride in everything that she did. And I certainly want to personally thank her for her dedicated service to serving the citizens in Ward 3 and also representing our city as our city council member for the city of Texarkana, Texas. She certainly was dedicated with everything that she did, and I know that when she was going through some various illnesses, I know that for a fact that she probably didn't feel well, but she was here. She was here to do her job to represent the citizens, and that is certainly appreciated, and she is to be commended for that. At this time, I would like to pass this off to the city staff. Dr. Orr, if some of the staff members, if you and other staff members would like to make any comments, we certainly would appreciate that. And then council, when we get through with the city remarks, Ms. Matlock, I'll begin with you, and we'll work our way this way from my right to left. And so council members, anything that you would like to share would also be greatly appreciated during that time. And then Doug, I would ask if y'all would mind just coming up maybe and standing at the podium when you'd like to, then we'll do that. So David, I'll begin with you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we will remember Councilmember Betty Williams for many things. Her warm personality and positivity about our community stand out to me the most. She was a constant encourager and faithfully served the residents of Ward 3. Our staff will attest that Miss Betty always had a list. It was a handwritten list, I might add. And there was issues to address in her ward. From public works to code enforcement efforts to police and fire issues. She deeply cared about the issues that were important to her residents that she represented. And she'd call back to check to see if we found a solution so she could check that one off the list. She served on the city council for 7 years, but truth be told, she was making lists and serving residents of our community long before her time officially on the council. We all knew her prior to her council service, and she cared deeply about beautification efforts throughout our community. And she adopted spots for flower beds and containers downtown long before we established an official Adopt a Spot program. In fact, once we introduced the program, she adopted even more spots around town. By my count, she had over a dozen locations that she was involved in over the years. She hosted National Night Out parties every October at the Collins Senior Center like clockwork. Even through sickness and illness, that was one thing every year she never missed. One time I asked a resident about forming a Highland Park neighborhood association. And they looked at me sort of puzzled. They said, why? We have Betty Williams. To Doug, to Andrea, to the entire Williams family, on behalf of the city, thank you for her unwavering service to our community. She will be greatly missed.
Thank you, David. Any other staff comments? Okay, all right. Ms. Matlock?
Hello, everybody. I met Andrea before I met Miss Williams, and Andrea introduced me to the family, and they just welcomed me into the fold. They acted like I was part of the family. They invited me out to eat and everything else. And before Miss Williams became a council member, she'd have bags, and I knew what she was doing with those bags. Going downtown, cleaning up that area. She always kept the bags in the car just to clean up downtown. And she became, you know, like I said, they knew her here at the city council before she became a council member. So it just came all the more better when she became a council member. She just kept doing what she always loved doing. And I'm going to miss her. You know, Andrea, Doug, if you all need anything, give me a call. I'm just a number away.
Ms. Hart? Thank you, Ms. Matlock. Ms. Hart?
Good evening. My memory of Miss Williams will be that cologne that she wore. I could just sit here the whole time that we were here and just take it in and smell it and wish I knew the name of it. It was her secret to me. She wouldn't tell me. But she was someone that I felt like I had known all along. And she and I were the chilly ones. She would say, "My, it's cold." And I would say, "Yes, it is." And next thing, I've got to ask them to turn that down. And I said, "Good." She was always the one that would go ahead and ask for it to be turned down. I'm going to truly, truly miss her sitting beside me. What can I say? As long as I'm sitting here, she's going to be here. I will truly, truly miss her.
Mayor, I forgot one thing.
Yes, Ms. Matlock.
I went on a trip with Miss Williams, and I tell you, she knew every flower, every tree, wherever we went. She knew all of them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it amazed me.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you, Ms. Matlock. Thank you, Ms. Hart. I've got one brief story. It was a month or two ago. We had one of our Eagle Scouts who came here, who had an Eagle Scout project of putting they were the former Texarkana Gazette newsstands. He refurbished them and put them around different parts of the city. And so if you have a flag that you need to have retired, then you could go and place the flag in that container, and then the Boy Scouts would take care of it. Well, I was trying to think about exactly all the locations where those were because I had a flag at home that I needed to retire. And I remembered that one location was across the state line here in front of the KLFI station on, I guess that'd be 4th Street. And so anyway, I thought, well, I'll just drop by there and drop my flag off and get that taken care of. So I go over there and I lift the lid on the newsstand, and someone had placed their trash in a bag, and I thought, that's just aggravating. And so I took that out, and I thought, well, I need to throw this away. So I was looking around for a trash receptacle, and I spotted one across the street on the corner. And then I looked down, and there was, wrappers and cups and all kinds of stuff lying on the ground. And so I picked everything up and made my way over there, and I thought, Betty would be proud of me right now for my efforts here. And I need to remind Mayor Brown I was over there helping him out on his side of town. But anyway, that was one thing that flashed through my mind while I was doing that, Betty took pride in doing that same type of thing. So I will always remember that. All right. Ms. Page?
I would just like to offer my condolences first to the Williams family. Miss Williams had a kind and gentle spirit. She was always uplifting to me. I'm a teacher. So we had something in common when it came down to kids. She would encourage me even on the toughest days. She'd always ask, how's school, what's going on, and how are the kids? And so she would share some of her stories of teaching so I just want you to know that I will be in prayer for you and your family, and she'll be greatly missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Mr. Metter?
I'd like to piggyback on some of those comments. I only knew Ms. Williams for a short time, and she was very kind and welcoming as I came in. The things and stories that you guys shared, she did touch me, and our community is at quite a loss. Be praying for you and our family as well.
Thank you, Mr. Metter. Mr. Davis?
Well, I've had the privilege of serving with Councilmember Williams since 2020, and she was extremely, extremely gracious, and just how sweet she was in how she dealt with anybody that she spoke with, and that's always impressed me. And one of the things that I remembered early on was that every event that I was at, she was at. And then there would be times where I would hear about an event through her, and I knew I missed one. And so her service to our community was above and beyond. And spent some time today just going back over some of her accomplishments and involvement. And I don't know how she had the time. And she was just a very, very giving person. And to know just the special place I have in my heart for anyone who is an educator, but knowing that she taught for 30 years. And then she volunteered, basically another 10 or 15 after she taught at Highland Park is just impressive. And, definitely prayers for the family, and know that she's going to be missed.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right. Doug, I'd like to welcome you to our council meeting. If you don't mind, maybe recognize the family members that you have here this evening, and we will look forward to your remarks too, sir.
Well, y'all know Andrea. There's my son Alton. He's there. This is his wife Trend and his stepson Polka, and they're from Vietnam originally. Yeah. And my family really appreciates this. And Betty's going to be missed by all of us, I promise you. Thank y'all. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, all right. Well, Doug, if you'll please join me down front here, I would like to step down, and we have a couple of things for you. I have a bouquet of flowers. This is from the city, and we'll give these to you to take with you. And then we have a bouquet of flowers that we'll have here until our council meeting is adjourned, and then we'll get the vase of flowers to the family as well. And then I'd also would like to present to you Betty's name placard to be presented to you in honor from the city, and I'll just step down at this time. Council, I want to thank you for your comments. Dr. Orr, thank you for your comments as well. At this time, move along to items of interest. As far as community interest, we do have upcoming events involving the council on Tuesday, May the 28th at 11 a.m. We'll have a meeting with the Budget Advisory Committee. They're working on the 2025 fiscal year budget at this time. On Monday, June the 10th, we'll have our council meeting for the month of June at 6 p.m. And then for our July council meeting, that'll be held on Monday, July the 8th. So once again, June and July will only be meeting once each month at 6 p.m. Once again, those dates are Monday, June the 10th and Monday, July the 8th. Parks and Recreation activities, a lot of events coming up in the community. On May the 18th, the Texarkana Disc Golf Association will have a disc golf tournament at Spring Lake Park. Also on May the 18th, Let It Out, Walk to End Domestic Violence and Abuse will be at 10:30 to 6 p.m. at Beverly Park. On May the 18th, the second annual pickleball tournament hosted by High Powered will be held from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Southwest Center. May the 18th and 19th, the TYSA and USSSA softball tournament will be held at Carr Park. On May the 18th and 19th, the USA District 44 softball tournament will be held at Carr Park. May the 18th and 19th, the USSSA baseball tournament will be held at Spring Lake Park. And then on May the 30th, we'll have movies in the park that will begin at dusk at Spring Lake Park in the central part of the park. And the movie feature that evening will be the movie Barbie. On May the 31st and June the 1st, we'll have the Dixie Pre All-Star Tournament that'll be held at Spring Lake Park. And then our events for the month of June, on June the 3rd, the Rotary Splash Pad will open at Spring Lake Park. On June the 6th, movies in the park at dusk featuring the movie Wonka. And then on June the 8th and 9th will be the NCS softball tournament at Wallace Park. For more information, you can log on to the city's website or call the city for additional information. Other spring events, May the 18th and 25th, we have our Farmers Market Days. And that is also going to be held on June the 1st and the 8th. And once again, new location for Farmers Market this year down across from the U.S. Federal Courthouse at 500 North State Line Avenue. We also have an upcoming show at the Pro Theater. Tom's Elton John tribute will be held on Monday, May the 27th at 8 p.m. And one thing I failed to mention too, in reference to Councilmember Williams, there will be a memorial service held. Memorial service will be held on Friday, May the 24th at 10 a.m. and it will be held at the Walnut Church of Christ, which is located on Moores Lane. Once again, memorial service for Councilmember Betty Williams, Friday, May the 24th at 10 a.m. at the Walnut Church of Christ. At this time, move along to our open forum, comments from the public. If there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council, you're welcome to do so. You will have up to 5 minutes to speak on any topic. We also ask that you complete one of these sheets that can be found on the rack next to the door. And if you are here this evening and you're wanting to speak on behalf of one of our public hearing items, then I will ask if you'll wait until we get to that particular public hearing item. We'll be more than happy to listen to your comments at that time. I do have one sheet that's been filled out this evening by Mr. David Green, and he would like to address the council in reference to, is it possible train derailment? Yes. Is that correct? Okay, sir, if you'll, first of all, welcome to our council meeting this evening, and if you would please state your name for the record, so we'll have a oral report of that, a recorded report of that, and we'll be more than happy to listen to your comments, sir.
My name's David Green, 70-year resident of this area. A quick side note. Google up Red Skelton's rendition of Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, the next one is, the last year I've been hearing devastating pounding from the railroad tracks, Kansas City Southern heading south. Last month I've been trying to chase down exactly where and what came from. A half a mile south of Miller Buoy, it's a railroad track intersection of Feeney Street, 2 Union Pacific tracks, and 1 Kansas City to Southern. The tracks are joined by a piece of equipment called a frog. These frogs have been devastated because of the track subsidence or misalignment.
Bless you.
I give this, not a speech, because I'm not a speaker. I'd be lucky if I don't have a heart attack. I give this information to the Arkansas City Council last Monday. Friday, I give USB ports to the city engineer to give to all the council members and the mayor. Hopefully they had gotten to him and seen them. It's about a 45-minute clips of 10 different times I went to the railroad track trying to catch these trains doing this intersection. If anybody came up this main door right here, you'd see me sitting out here with 6 pieces of railroad equipment. Spikes that's been bounced out. 1.25 inch bolts that have been exploded off of these frogs because of these trains. A 1 million pound locomotive followed by 60 $250,000 either rail cars with coal, hazardous material, or flammable material. If you've ever been stopped at 4th Street when the arm was first going down, the train's running about 3 miles an hour. By the time the 40, 50 rail cars get past you, they're running about 30. When they hit this frog, they're a mile or a 1/4 mile south of Miller Buoy. They're running about 40 miles an hour. This whole town has gone noise blind. When I was waiting out here at 5:15, whenever you hear the train hitting 4th Street, it has to blow its whistles because of our intersection, a road. Those 3 or 4 whistles, by the time it gets on down past Miller Buoy, you'll start hearing a 60 times it's pounding on these frogs. I picked up brake shoes, bolts. I'll get my phone right here. I've got 2 8-pound chunks of sparks. Sparks are usually when the train is going into a curve, the harder alloy wheels is grinding off the track. You see little clumps of sparks. Well, this is such a misalignment on there, it's eating the tracks off. I've got several packages of, several pounds of these sparks that's built up from the train misalignment. I'm just an individual. I've talked to the Arkansas side, and they say, well, that's the Texas side's problem. When the Union Pacific coming from the south, it doesn't have to honk its horn because there's not a road immediately there. But if it's not stopping here to let off something or other, it's running 35 or 40 miles an hour underneath the Texas Viaduct with these 40 or 50 fuel, hazardous material. I don't know if they got coal or not going that way, but Google up East Palestine 15 months ago because of deregulations and not having temperature sensors on the actual railroad cars. East Palestine had a derailment. They're up to $1,400,000,000 of the cost. That was 15 months ago. The citizens of this little 8,000 population town are just now getting sick from all that. They had 43 cars of vinyl chloride that burn off. I'll have to say I'm out of time.
Go ahead and finish your sentence.
Well, the Fox Garden Hen House, the railroad company was in charge of the cleanup. They had 6 of these 34,000 gallons vinyl chloride tanker cars clumpled up. And they said, ooh, fire was Friday. They got it out by Sunday. And Monday they said, well, we better just bleed that off because we don't want it to blow up. Because we know those rail cars could blow a mile up in the air, which East Palestine is right there underneath that Texas Viaduct. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Green, thank you for your comments this evening, and we're really not supposed to carry on a dialogue. This is our citizens' time, but I guess I have one question for you. Have you made any kind of contact with the railroads in reference to your concerns?
Funny thing, that's north side would be contacting y'all and say, whoa, we've got a problem here. Friday, I gave the city engineer 8 or 10 of those USBs to give to y'all anytime y'all could get them.
Okay.
And everybody looking like they don't know what I'm talking about, so you haven't seen them. It's about 45 minutes of films showing these railroad tracks devastating these intersections.
Okay.
I don't know what I can't do, what am I gonna do?
Okay. Well, what we'll do, city staff, they'll make contact with and they may have already done this, they'll make contact with the railroads to make them aware of your concerns. But I mean, if I were in your shoes and I had a concern like that, I would contact the railroads and say, hey, you've got a problem here. Can you have this investigated and give me a report? But we'll make contact with the railroads on your behalf and see what, they have to have annual inspections or periodic inspections of their equipment. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but because I'm not an expert in railroads.
Video I have right before the Kansas City Southern was making this 60s car. The railroad worker came down in his little truck. And I said, oh heck, I think they're fixing to go ahead and arrest me this time. So I started getting out of the truck. He's running about 15 miles an hour in a little truck. He starts slowing down. I get out, well, he's not stopping to talk to me. He's slowing down, so when he hits this frog, he won't just, the truck fly off. He slows down about 3 miles an hour. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. We appreciate your being here this evening. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council this evening? If not, we'll move along with our agenda. At this time, move along to appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Do we have any appointments to be made this evening by the council to boards, commissions, and committees, or any reappointments? All right, hearing none, we'll move along to items for consideration. We do have 4 items this evening on the consent agenda. Item 1 is to consider approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council held on April 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Item 2 is to consider approval of the minutes of the Joint City Committee of the City Council and Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors hosted by the Texarkana Airport Authority held on April 24th, 2024 at 3 p.m. Item 3 is ordinance number 2024-052, amending budgeted expenditures in the 2017 Fund 423, to allocate $1,749,296.33 for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, for the airport terminal project, and authorizing payment to the Texarkana Regional Airport for a total project amount not to exceed $2,368,579.20. Item number 4 is resolution number 2024-058, authorizing the city manager to purchase a new chiller for the HVAC unit from contractor Kraus Service Company Incorporated of Nash, Texas, for the Southwest Center with budgeted funds in the amount not to exceed $94,825.60 from the Community Development Block Grant Fund, Fund 204. Unless a council member would like to pull one or more items for further review, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it has been presented. Is there a motion for approval? We have a motion by Councilmember Hart, a second by Councilmember Matlock. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The consent agenda has been approved. We do not have any action items on our agenda this evening. And at this time, the council is going to convene into closed session. The City Council will convene into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel matters to discuss or deliberate the reappointment of Sherry L. Jackson, J.D., as City Judge of the City's Municipal Court of Record and the amendment of Judge Jackson's compensation agreement. So what the council will do, you're welcome to go ahead and remain in the audience, remain here in the audience. The council will be going to the conference hall, conference room just down the hall. We will take action on this item, and then we will reconvene back into the council chambers, and then we will reconvene our meeting. So I don't anticipate we'll be in closed session very long, but we certainly appreciate your patience, and we look forward to joining back with you shortly. we certainly thank you all for your patience. We were in closed session for approximately 10 minutes, and so now the council will reconvene back into open session. And we do have one item before we move along to our first briefings, and it relates to ordinance number 2024-050, reappointing the municipal court judge Sherry L. Jackson, J.D., and approving a 2-year compensation agreement. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Page, a second by Councilmember Hart. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, reappointing Sherry L. Jackson, J.D., as municipal judge of the Municipal Court of Record in the City of Texarkana, Texas, for a 2-year term, approving a compensation agreement and determining the salary for the office of municipal judge, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Judge, thank you once again for your service, and we appreciate the great job that you do. Okay, you're welcome. At this time, move along to our first briefings. We have 4 items this evening, and our first item is ordinance number 2024-053, amending PD-02-13 for site plan approval on Lot 4, Block 6, Richmond Development, 5th Subdivision, located at 3408 Arista Boulevard. Katie Atwood, owner. Kayla Wood, MTG Engineers and Surveyors Agent. In reference to our first briefing items, we will have public hearings at our next council meeting on June the 10th and council consideration during that same evening. And Michelle Daniel will be, city staff will be briefing the council on all 4 items. So good evening, Michelle. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council. So this is a request for site plan approval located at 3408 Arista Boulevard. The current zoning is planned development, general retail, and the site is currently vacant. The future land use map designates this property as neighborhood residential, and the adjacent zoning is planned development, general retail to the north, south, east, and west. The adjacent land use is an apartment complex to the west and east, offices to the north and south. The site plan consists of the construction of a 2,525 square foot building. The access drive will be off of Arista Boulevard, and a 6 foot by 8 foot monument style sign. A screen dumpster site is also required, and all other city ordinances must be met. Staff and Planning and Zoning do recommend for approval of the site plan, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Michelle on this item? Okay, we'll now move along to item number 2, ordinance number 2024-054, rezoning lots 34 through 42 and 45 through 51, Midland Edition, located at 300 Savannah Hill Drive, from general retail to commercial. Patrick Hill, owner. Michelle?
So, as you said, this is a request to rezone 300 Savannah Hill Drive from general retail to commercial. The intended use is an outdoor car lot and mixed uses in the building. The future land use map has designated this property as neighborhood retail. The adjacent zoning is general retail to the north, south, east, and west. The adjacent land use is a residence to the north, office to the west and south, and vacant land to the east. Staff and Planning and Zoning do recommend for approval of this request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Michelle on item number 2? Okay, move along to item number 3, ordinance number 2024-044, amending PD-15-5 for site plan approval on Lot 6, Block 3, John T. Spears, First Edition, located at 3603 Texas Boulevard. Bradley and Sarah Berry, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one.
I'm like,
Let me back up. I'm looking at the bottom of the page instead of the top of the page. So Jethro will get it together here in just a minute. All right, back up to item 3. Ordinance number 2024-055, rezoning on Lot 1 and 37 and half of Lot 2, Witt Edition, located at 3309 New Boston Road, from general retail to planned development commercial. Richard Seals, owner. And we do have representatives in the audience this evening relating to this matter as well. Michelle?
So this is a request to rezone 3309 New Boston Road from general retail to planned development commercial. The intended use is a cabinet manufacturing company. The future land use map has designated this property as mixed-use development, and the adjacent zoning is general retail to the west, planned development general retail to the north, single-family two to the east and south. The adjacent land use is a car wash to the west, a gym to the north, and residence to the east and south. Staff and Planning and Zoning do recommend for approval of this request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions on item 3? Okay. Item number 4 is ordinance number 2024-056, granting a specific use permit for one additional use of permanent cosmetics on lots 7 and 8, block 29, Guy Fish Boulevard addition, located at 3218 Texas Boulevard. Brian Calloway, owner, and Marianne Hawkins, agent. Michelle?
So this is a request for a specific use permit to allow the additional use of permanent cosmetics located at 3218 Texas Boulevard. The property is zoned general retail. The future land use map has designated this property as neighborhood retail. The adjacent zoning is general retail to the north, south, east, and west. And the adjacent land usage is the tire shop to the north, retail to the south and west, alley and vacant area to the east. Staff and Planning and Zoning do recommend for approval of this request, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Michelle on item 4? Okay, thank you, Michelle. This completes our first briefings portion of the agenda. We'll now move along to public hearings. We do have 6 items this evening relating to public hearings. Item 1 is ordinance number 2024-042, amending section 12-3 of the Code of Ordinances to designate single polling locations for each city election, precinct, ward, to align with polling places utilized by Bowie County. Public hearing once again this evening, as well as council vote. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this ordinance. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance? We have a motion by Councilmember Hart. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Matlock. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending Section 12-3 of the Code of Ordinances to designate single polling locations for each city election precinct to align with polling places utilized by Bowie County, providing severability and repealer clauses, containing legislative findings, providing for publication of public notice, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. Item number 2 is ordinance number 2024-043, rezoning the north 250 feet of lots 7, 8, 9, and 10, Block 2, Carrie D. Hart's First, located at 4001 New Boston Road, from commercial agriculture to commercial. F.M. Slack, owner, and Clint Head, agent. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval? We have a motion by Councilmember Page, a second by Councilmember Davis. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Texarkana, Texas, by rezoning on the north 250 feet of lots 7 through 10, Block 2, Carrie D. Hart's First, located at 4001 New Boston Road in the City of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, from commercial agriculture to commercial, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. Item number 3 is ordinance number 2024-044, amending PD-15-5 for site plan approval on Lot 6, Block 3, John T. Spears, First Edition, located at 3603 Texas Boulevard. Bradley and Sarah Berry, owners. At this time, we'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Page. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending PD-15-5GR for site plan approval on Lot 6, Block 3, John T. Spears First Edition, located at 3603 Texas Boulevard in the city of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Now, the ordinance passes unanimously. Mr. and Mrs. Berry, best of luck to you with your project there. That's going to be a nice addition for that corridor. It really is. Okay, you're welcome. Moving along to item number 4, ordinance number 2024-046, amending PD-23-4 for site plan approval on a 15.5 acre tract of land being Tract 81, H.S. Janes Headright Survey A-306, located at 500 South Bishop Road. Russ Huckabee, owner, and Jess Griffin, agent. At this time, I declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward. Not seeing anyone coming forward this time, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Ms. Hart? Second by Mrs. Hart. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending PD-23-4I1 for site plan approval on an approximate 15.15 acre tract of land, being Tract 81, H.S. Janes HRS A-306, located at 500 South Bishop Road in the city of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. Item number 5, ordinance number 2024-047, amending the Code of Ordinances by adding Article 9, door-to-door selling, to Chapter 28 of the Code of Ordinances. And council, before I open this item up for the public hearing, City Attorney Mr. Jeff Lewis would like to provide some remarks relating to this item. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Following our last meeting, our municipal prosecutor and I conferred and on the issues that were raised in the last meeting about this ordinance, specifically the Texas law that applies specifically to licensed alarm companies. And that law specifically exempts licensed alarm companies from any city requirements for a permit, for a license, for any type of fee. And our proposed ordinance requires none of that. It's a no-fee registration process. And since we're not requiring a permit, not requiring a license, not requiring a fee, it's the opinion of both the prosecutor and myself that our ordinance is very consistent with state law. And in our opinion, if you're not exempted by the exceptions that we have outlined in the proposed ordinance, then door-to-door salespeople, you're expected to register with the city. Okay. And any questions?
All right. Any questions from Mr. Lewis in reference to the explanation? Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance? Motion by Councilmember Matlock, second by Councilmember Page. Ms. Evans, the caption.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Texarkana, Texas, by adding Article 9, door-to-door selling, to Chapter 28, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, containing repealer, severability, and superseding clauses, containing legislative findings, providing for publication, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. We have one more public hearing item as pertains to resolution number 2024-051, authorizing the city manager to execute subordination subordination is. Non-disturbance in a tournament, SNDA agreements for 2 existing EPA revolving loan fund cleanup loans and 2 economic development facade revolving loan funds with Texarkana Renewal Properties LLC and agreements to restructure ownership of property held as liens in an effort to support downtown redevelopment. Council, before I open the public hearing on this item, we do have city staff, Vachille Fernandez, to provide some additional information to the council in reference to this matter. Good evening, Vachille.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution is to approve the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the subordination agreement for the 4 existing loans with Texarkana Renewal Properties LLC and all content and documents necessary by the city to allow Texarkana Renewal Properties LLC to accomplish its capital lease structure required for tax investors. And so we kind of anticipated that this would be necessary as part of the financial structure for the development of this project. So Texarkana Renewal Properties has obtained approval for Part 1 and Part 2 of Historic Preservation Certification from the National Park Service and secure federal and state historic tax credits. And all of that amount to a total of a little over 17.3 million. And that's contingent upon the city approving this subordination agreement to help with that capital lease structure to monetize those historic tax credits. This is kind of a similar structure to what was needed for the Grimm project, the Hotel Grimm project. And we anticipate that these loans will close later this month. The current target date of completion for Texarkana National Bank is September of 2025. The revolving loan committee reviewed and voted unanimously to recommend approval of this resolution, and staff also recommends approval of this resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions by the council? Okay. I've got one because I was looking through this in the packet. So currently the city has 2 brownfield loans and then 2 facade loans, and I think that totals about $930,000 or $940,000. And so the way I would interpret that is the city has first liens on those 4 loans, and so those liens are not being jeopardized, are they?
No, they're not.
So they're still in place.
We're just moving to second lane instead of the first.
Second lane?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I just had a question about that. Any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you, Vachille.
Thank you.
All right. So at this time, we'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hart. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Page. Okay, this is a resolution, so there's not a caption relating to this item, so we'll take a vote at this time. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution passes unanimously. This concludes our public hearings portion of the agenda. We'll now move along to the city manager's report. Dr. Orr.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few updates to pass along to you tonight. First off, we're excited to announce that we have signed the Lake Wright-Patman programmatic agreement with the Caddo Nation. And so this took place a couple of weeks ago at the Caddo conference that was recently held in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We've been working over 2 years in partnership with Riverbend and the Caddo Nation on this agreement. And so this is a crucial piece for the ultimate rule curve project at Lake Wright-Patman and the work to be done with the lake. And so this will move forward with our cultural resources survey, which will take place hopefully later this year and throughout next year as well. Also, just wanted to give you an update on our Budget Advisory Committee. So our first Budget Advisory Committee meeting was held last week, Wednesday, May 15th. And we'll devote, last week rather. Our next one is for this Wednesday, May 15th at noon. We'll devote that meeting to TWU's budget along with our health insurance. And just a reminder, we've had a request to move our joint Budget Advisory and City Council meeting to Tuesday, May 28th at noon instead of Wednesday, May 29th. At 11, rather, 11 a.m. Instead of noon. So please mark that on your calendars for May 28th at 11. And then the final item is just a save the date. I think most of you have this already in your calendars. We sent out some calendar reminders, I think, last week, but the Jimmy Yates Airport Terminal grand opening Friday, June 28th at 11 a.m. And that'll be at the new terminal site, Texarkana, Arkansas.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, thank you, David. Appreciate that report. We'll now move along to administrative comments. Any comments by the council this evening?
I just have a question.
Ms. Matlock?
Were all the budget advisory representative present?
No, we'll get you a list of the ones that were present, which ones were absent.
Okay. All right. Well, now, in reference to our administrative comments from city staff, Vachille Fernandez will provide information relating to the 2024 Comprehensive Plan update and the Comprehensive Plan tracking report. Vachille, welcome back.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is just providing some updates from our comprehensive plan of some of the things that we've been working on over the past year. One of the things, if you look at the document that we gave you, we've broken it out into the different sections with land use and transportation, parks and trails and neighborhood districts and downtown. And so I'll just give just a few remarks on some of those, and there's quite a few of them in there, so I won't bore you with all of that. But one of the things I want to highlight is our one portion of the updates that we did to our downtown. One of the things that we, if you remember, passing tax release for historic commercial properties, and specifically on the plan it talks about incentives for adaptive reuse for historical structures. So we were happy to be able to do that. If you look at some of our neighborhood districts, one of the things that we've worked on is creating neighborhood association, with creating a Newtown neighborhood association, and working with them to kind of rejuvenate the Bell Park area, and that ties into another one of our comprehensive plan initiative that we wanted to carry out. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, when we looked at land use with the preservation of green spaces, we were able over the last couple of years to create community gardens, one in Rose Hill, one in Beverly and in Newtown, and then we have one at the College Senior Center, and then one over there by the health department. And so it not only have green space, but also create healthy spaces for people to get fresh produce as well. And those are just a couple of the updates. I'm happy to answer any question that you have.
Any questions for Vachille? All right, we appreciate the update on that.
Thank you.
Good information. All right, at this time, the council will go into closed session. The city council will convene in the closed session once again pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Government Code. A, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney. B, Section 551.072, real property. C, Section 551.087, economic development negotiations to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body, and with the governmental body is conducting, in which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations, project totality. After the closed session, the council will reconvene into open session to adjourn the meeting for this evening. So at this time, the council will be entering back into closed session in the conference room.